Mark Levin here. The post-election economy could be a minefield of inflation, massive debt, and currency instability. That's why I count on gold for my financial protection. When it comes to gold, I only trust Advantage Gold. They're one of the top gold companies in America, and that's who I turn to for my own investments. Call them now, 800-900-8000, for a free gold investment kit, and see if you qualify for $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Don't wait and see if post-election chaos destroys your savings. Act preemptively. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. You know, we have a massive echo chamber here. You know, it's interesting. The day the president won officially, that night, which was Wednesday early morning, I should say, we came on the air. I guess that's yesterday evening, and what did I say? There's going to be no dictatorship. There's going to be no Hitler. There's going to be no using of the military to kill people who disagree with you. That none of that's going to occur. There's not going to be any attack on the Dobbs decision and the decision of the states when it comes to abortion, and on and on and on. That none of that's going to happen. And out comes Kamala Harris and basically says, you know, can't we all get along in her own way, which is actually a bizarre way. And then there's Biden today squinting and squealing, basically saying the same thing, because that was all a lie, that Donald Trump was going to destroy democracy. That was all a lie. What else on the echo chamber? I put out a statement, but this is something I've talked about for months and months and months and months when it comes to the law. That these two memoranda from the Department of Justice, one dated 1973 and the other dated 2000, should Donald Trump get elected president, are basically his, I don't want to say bulletproof vest, but you get my point. You cannot indict a sitting president, but it's more than that. When you read those opinions, as I probably am the only one who has, they go much more broadly than that. Basically, the entire problem, they say, with indicting a sitting president, and that is Donald Trump will be a sitting president when he's sworn in, is the entire length of a trial that they focus on, and the various steps in a trial, and how that degrades the office of the presidency, and so forth and so on. Now, I know they're putting Bill Barr out there because Bill Barr listens to this show. Those two memos nobody was referring to. You might recall I've been using them for years now. And not just him, others. Others. And then I said on the state cases, the same applies to that. We're not talking about civil actions. We're talking about criminal actions. Number one, you have the supremacy clause of the Constitution. Local and state prosecutors and local and state courts have no authority or jurisdiction to pursue cases against a soon-to-be president at any stage of the case. That is sentencing. Sentencing is the most poignant in terms of the argument of the memo. Because at least theoretically, you have the ability to put an incoming president in jail, in state jail? No. So a state and local prosecutor, or state and local courts, states period, have no authority to affect a president's constitutional duties and the functioning of his office. It's that simple. It's over. And if Mershon, the acting state judge, doesn't agree to that, eventually that will be the decision. Because Donald Trump is the president-elect. So this Alvin Bragg Mershon case is over. It's a dead case walking, whether this judge likes it or not. So for half a century, it's been the position of Democrat and Republican administrations that the Department of Justice cannot indict a sitting president. This position has been justified for a myriad of reasons, all of which come down to the fact that the president is the head of the executive branch, and unelected prosecutors, juries, and judges cannot exercise a power that makes it impossible for a president to carry out his constitutional duties while defending his liberty and reputation in a courtroom. So to allow such a procedure would be to do permanent damage to the constitutional system of our government and set a precedent that could not be reversed once that cat's let out of the bag. That is, prosecutors indicting a sitting president for infinite potential reasons that destroy the purpose of the functioning of the executive branch. Because under our Constitution, the president is the executive branch. Now, the issues come up as to whether the same principles of non-prosecution, as I underscored yesterday, would apply where the charges are brought by a state or locality. After all, it's been argued, and it's been argued by law professors, former federal prosecutors, everybody and their mother, that the Department of Justice jurisdiction is federal, not state. Now, I've straightened this out on Fox, I've straightened it out on Blaze, and I've straightened it out here, and now finally some of the backbenchers, they've learned how to regurgitate it. And they pat themselves on the head. Look what I figured out. They figured out nothing. Bill Barr has always been an obsessive listener to this program. So it's good that I can educate a former attorney general, among others. Among others. We don't operate with reverse federalism, is what I call it. That is, where states and localities have the power to influence a federal constitutional office. That's preposterous. And yet that's what's going on here. So the judge, Mershon, should dismiss the case with prejudice, and it's over. Say, look, it's over. He's been elected president. So what happens if he doesn't? Obviously, not only should the courts in New York and Georgia, upon motions by the president's lawyers, which they've already filed, is my understanding. All right, Mr. Producer, we're going to take an early break. I'll be right back, and I'll explain it later.
Mark Levin.
History shows that post-election periods can bring economic turmoil. It's about bracing for the economic fallout that could follow. But this time, with our national debt skyrocketing, global tensions rising, and God knows what else, we could be facing unprecedented risks. Economic dislocation, runaway stagflation, even worse. And, of course, undermining the value of the currency. That's the big concern. Your financial security. The answer is diversity. Diversity with what? In my view, gold. Gold has been said to be a reliable wealth shield for thousands of years through some of the worst economic storms. And for my gold investments, I trust Advantage Gold. I recommend them to anyone serious about helping to protect their own wealth. Call them right now. 800-900-8000. Get a free gold investment kit to see how you can get started with gold. You can even qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call them now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. Now, trust me, you'll be happy you did. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. Sorry, folks, I got a call and I couldn't say no. You can figure that out yourselves. You figure that out, Mr. Producer? Can you figure out who called? Yeah, you know. So, I'm sorry, folks. Let me get back to what I was talking about. These cases won't survive, the federal and the state cases. Just a matter of time. because since it is and is the position of the federal government, all administrations, all departments of justice, both parties, all attorneys general, that you can't take criminal actions against a sitting president that can affect his presidency, the office of the presidency, the executive branch, and sort of reverse the decision of the people to vote for this person, or diminish his reputation or character as he's dealing with foreign powers and issues of war and peace, then clearly a state or a local DA does not have the power to do exactly that. First of all, they don't have the jurisdiction under the Supremacy Clause. That's number one. So everything's changed. I would argue that President Trump could have reversed all this at the Supreme Court anyway, but everything's changed because now he's the elected incoming president of the United States. So you're Judge Merchan and you're sitting there. What are you going to do? You're going to say, you know what, I'm going to put an ankle bracelet on you? No, that'll be challenged in federal court and killed. And if they need to get to the Supreme Court, they should use one of the common law certs that I've talked about at length. And it'll be finished. It'll be over in no time. No time. So they have no way out. They're boxed in. Merchan's boxed in New York. All those courts are boxed in. Again, on the criminal side, I can't speak to the civil side. It's a different thing according to the Supreme Court. But we're in the weeds enough. And over at the Department of Injustice, they realize they have nothing. There's nothing they can do. This is why they were all in a rush to try and get these cases going before the election. And they hoped to get him convicted at the federal level and in jail before the election. That's why they were in a rush. They did that in Manhattan without the jailing part, rushed to get the convictions in a Stalinist trial with a Stalinist jury and a Stalinist judge and a Stalinist prosecutor, in my humble opinion. Now we're in the sentencing section. Well, Mark, it's not, you can't indict a former, it has nothing to do with that. They say you can't indict because the indictment triggers the process. The entire process. All the way up through sentencing. And so now they're at sentencing, and what's the judge going to do? I sentence you, you pay this, you didn't know. And I happen to know for a fact President Trump's lawyers are on top of this now. But this is what I've discussed with you behind this microphone, on Blaze and on Fox now for almost 2 years, right, Mr. Producer? It's been something like that. This is why I've discussed, this is why I walk you through these things, because they do matter. They make a big difference. So you've got the Supremacy Clause, you've got the Department of Justice memos, you've got basic jurisdictional issues, and yet they still brought these cases. They were hoping he would lose. Now I want to underscore something else about this. Right up to voting day, the official day of voting, and throughout early voting, you were being told by network after network, by cable channel after cable channel, by expert after expert, by these guys with the maps on the boards and the touch screens and all the rest. You were told by pollster after pollster, and the people who allowed these platforms to be used this way really should not have, but that said, that this election is too close to call. Too close to call. It's one of the greatest landslide elections in American history. So they were all wrong. Donald Trump is not going to use the military to kill anybody. He's not going to have concentration camps. He's not going to arrest journalists on TV. He's not Hitler. He's not a dictator. He's not a fascist. He's not going to destroy the Constitution. He's not going to do any of those things. So they lied. And now they say, can't we all get along? Can't we unite? And some of them actually say it's up to Donald Trump to put out his hand for bipartisanship. And so I ask myself, aren't you tired of being lied to by the media? Aren't you tired of being lied to by the Democrats? Post-election, just look back at everything you were told by the experts. Look at everything you were told by $1 billion in ads and the surrogates who came on. Not one of them is going to be fired. Not one of these outlets is going to change what they do. None of it. None of it's going to be changed. And so I'm thinking to myself, what's going on here? Comcast owns NBC and MSNBC. This is Comcast's responsibility when it comes to those networks. They own them. They own them. These major corporations that own CNN, these major corporations that own MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS. ABC is owned by Disney. It's owned by Disney. CBS is owned by Paramount. Hollywood, owned by Paramount. NBC is owned by Comcast. I believe Time Warner, if I stand corrected, so be it, Time Warner owns CNN. And, of course, MSNBC is also owned by Comcast. Basically, 3 or 4 mega corporations that put these hosts on, that put these phony journalists on, that put these programs on, that preach hate, poison, viciousness, spew lies. 3 or 4 corporations. Think about it. And one other thing. I love these people who go on TV, including my beloved Fox, who tell us that elections have changed forever now because of podcasting. Podcasting is very important. I happen to be a big proponent of it. But they always ignore the 800-pound gorilla who's sitting right in front of them. You know what the 800-pound gorilla is, Mr. Producer? It's conservative talk radio. What did we do election night? People in their cars, in their trucks, with their radios in their cars and their trucks. 300 million vehicles with radios, and the media ignores conservative talk radio. Folks, any election can send shockwaves through our financial system, but these post-election stakes could be higher than ever. Reckless spending, mounting debt, these radical left policies, they've set the stage for a potential disaster. We could see rapid stagflation, market dislocation, even worse, and that will undermine the value of our currency. That's why I've always relied on gold for protection as part of my diversification. It's been said to be a timeless safeguard against economic chaos, and in these uncertain times, it's more crucial than ever. So when it comes to gold, I trust one company, Advantage Gold. They're one of the top gold companies in America, and they're who I turn to for my own investments. Call them now, 800-900-8000. Get your free gold investment kit to see how gold can help protect you from post-election chaos. And when you do, you might even qualify for $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Don't wait until it's too late. 800-900-8000. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Mark Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
You know, one of the Senate seats that, now to be honest with you, it's the one I cared about the most. I cared about all of them, don't get me wrong, but I'm a Pennsylvanian. I've gotten to know Dave McCormick. I know he's going to be a fantastic senator, and it's about time, David. They finally called your race in Pennsylvania. But you've been through hell. I mean, you went through a primary, which you lost by the skin of your teeth. You're in this race, and it's close. First of all, I know you wanted to say something to the audience, but then tell us what it's like to run for a race like this, and what would motivate somebody to go through it.
Well, Mark, thanks for having me, and you've been such a great supporter every step along the way, and I'm really grateful to you, and I'm just grateful to your audience. And, you've had me on the show a number of times. I've felt great support. It's given me an opportunity to talk about where I think the country needs to go and what kind of leadership Pennsylvania needs. And listen, this is, politics these days is tough. And it's a contact sport, and, you have horrible things said about you. You have lots of lies told about you. And it's a big sacrifice for any family. But for me, it's been a true honor, because I think the country's headed in a terrible direction. And I think being in the Senate, working with President Trump and others, it'll give me the opportunity to really make a difference and get our country back on track. And, as you know, Mark, Dina and I are the parents to 6 beautiful daughters, and we want to make sure the America that we've been so fortunate to be part of is available for them. So that's the motivation. And anytime you start feeling sorry for yourself, you just think about all the people in American history that have sacrificed so much more than a simple, running for the Senate and having people say mean things about you on TV. This is small compared to the sacrifice of others. So we feel honored to do it, excited about the opportunity, and proud.
When did you officially learn that you were officially the senator, or going to be the senator?
Well, it's been we thought for some time that the numbers were such in terms of what was coming out of the ballot, the ballot count, that there was no way for Senator Casey to win. We couldn't see any way as we were growing our lead. We had 30,000 votes, and then we're in counting additional votes in Cambria County, which is a very conservative county where I'm getting about 75% of the votes. So we didn't see any possible way. But, the Associated Press hadn't commented on the race, and we didn't think they were going to. And then what happened a few hours ago was the Associated Press called it. And we had no interaction with the Associated Press. We had no discussion, so we didn't know how they were processing the data. But to us, it was just an inevitability because the math is such that there's no way that Senator Casey can close the gap. And my guess is they were watching that. They were seeing that our numbers were growing and made the judgment. And so, we just found out a couple hours ago, which was great news.
Did your opponent call you, or has he called yet?
He has not called. He has not conceded. In fact, there's some suggestion he won't concede. And it's I know it's hard. Listen, I've been through an election, as you mentioned. I lost a race in 2022 by 900 votes of 1.5 million cast. So I think I understand that this is probably hard for Senator Casey, and he's been in elected office for 30 years. He's been in the Senate for 18 years. So this is tough. And so he's going to have to work his way through it, however is best for him. But I think just as a practical matter, there's no way for him to get enough votes to win. And I think the Associated Press declaring the race over was an important step for everybody coming to grips with that reality.
Well, Senator-elect Dave McCormick, that sounds pretty cool, doesn't it?
It's pretty great. Yeah, it's pretty great. And, listen, this is such a great country. I know that you share my love for the exceptional America that we have, that we've been blessed by. And I know you share my deep concern, or I share your deep concern. We're in agreement that we're in deep trouble and that we need new leadership. And, what's really great about this election is there's not a lot of ambiguity around what the people have chosen. And they've made a clear choice for change, a clear choice for strength over weakness, a clear choice for common sense policies over a radical liberal agenda. And I think President Trump has a mandate, and I think a strong majority in the Senate, which I'll be part of. And I think we have an opportunity here to really get things back on track, and I'm honored to be part of it.
Well, we're honored that you won, because I know this audience really loves you and really wanted you to win very, very badly. And it's just another smiley face day, Dave McCormick. And the best to you and your family. Go out and have a nice dinner. Try to sleep in tomorrow, and then you can start fighting away the next day.
Yeah, best to you and your great family, Mark. Thank you again.
God bless you. It's our honor. That guy's a class act. He's also a combat veteran. I think it was 82nd Airborne, if I remember correctly. And they tried to destroy him. He's not from Pennsylvania. Yes, he is. He was born in Pennsylvania. His family had a farm there, but it didn't matter. But he knocked off an iconic name, Casey. Senator Casey's father was very, very beloved in Pennsylvania. He'd been elected time and time again as, I forget what title they gave the office. It wasn't governor, or lieutenant governor, or senator. But the guy who handles the books, the auditor, I should say. I think it was the auditor of Pennsylvania. He eventually did become governor. He was a man who was a practicing faithful Catholic. He rejected abortion. You might remember the case of Casey versus Pennsylvania. That's him. And he would no doubt be very disappointed, I think, in his son, who voted for the most radical. It's not an abortion bill. It's the most radical bill ever when it comes to babies that would have not permitted doctors and so forth to say babies who were born from botched abortions. It would have eliminated parental notification, all the rest. Imagine going from his father to him. And it was so bad that the Democrat National Convention, I forget which one, but the Democrat National Convention, he was not invited to speak. He may have been uninvited, if I recall, because of his position on abortion. And his son, honest to God, I told you, I'm from Pennsylvania, I'm from the Philadelphia area, really didn't do anything. He really didn't do anything. That's an important state, you only get 2 senators. So that was problematic. So We have another Republican senator, so I think the Republicans have 53 seats now in the Senate. And Sam Brown in Nevada, we're still rooting for him. It's tuck and go. And Mr. Producer, Mike Rogers, wasn't that the gentleman's name who ran for the Senate in Michigan? He was a congressman. He was a fairly sort of centrist, or we would call rhino. Open your microphone. How many times did we invite him to come onto the program? 3?
About that.
About 3 times. Did they ever respond to you?
I don't think so.
They never got back to you. He didn't want to come on the program. We are all over the state of Michigan. As many of you in Michigan know, we have great listeners, great patriots throughout the state of Michigan. He didn't want to come on the program. Strangest damn thing. So I said, it was a very close race. I think my audience, our patriots would have come out and helped him. But, 3 strikes and you're out. What am I supposed to do? Beg a guy to come on the show, doesn't want to come on the show? He must not want to win that badly. I don't know. But he didn't. For me, it was fine. Okay, I know you're sort of a moderate rhino, but we need to win. We need to win these seats if Donald Trump's going to get his agenda through. I was still rooting for him, by the way. I'm rooting for all these guys. And one of the ones that really upsets me is Hovde in Wisconsin. I don't know if that race is over or not. I think they've declared it over, but this guy was fantastic and is. He's been on the program many, many times. Fantastic. And yet, and his opponent is a complete radical kook. You can't win them all, they say, but it would have been nice to win just a couple more, don't you think? Him and we're waiting for Sam Brown. I remember what happened to our friend Laxalt, Adam Laxalt in Nevada. He was leading fairly comfortably. Then they start counting votes Saturday over the weekend. They go into these apartment complexes and nursing homes. They have a very aggressive voter harvesting aspect of their law there, and they used it to defeat him. It's too bad. He would have been a fantastic senator, just like his grandfather, who was a close friend of mine, Paul Laxalt. I hope they don't do that to Sam Brown. Not that they would. I don't know. We're going to watch. But Donald Trump won Nevada. Donald Trump won Arizona. Donald Trump won everything. That's because of you, the people. Everything. And so all of them were wrong. Even on election day, it's too close to call. 3 months of back and forth. 1/10 of 9/10 of 0.93 points. Then we have the idiot with the Iowa. Oh, Iowa. Harris is in lead by 3%. She lost it by, 14%, Mr. Producer? What do we say? Ignore this stupid stuff. It's ridiculous. But see what kind of class McCormick has? He comes on with the program and he thanks you. And he thanks you. Because the guy's got class. It's been a wild 1 hour. Been a wild 1 hour. But you ain't seen nothing yet. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
History shows that post-election periods can bring economic turmoil. It's about bracing for the economic fallout that could follow. But this time, with our national debt skyrocketing, global tensions rising, and God knows what else, we could be facing unprecedented risks. Economic dislocation, runaway stagflation, even worse. And, of course, undermining the value of the currency. That's the big concern. Your financial security. The answer is diversity. Diversity with what? In my view, gold. Gold has been said to be a reliable wealth shield for thousands of years through some of the worst economic storms. And for my gold investments, I trust Advantage Gold. I recommend them to anyone serious about helping to protect their own wealth. Call them right now. 800-900-8000. Get a free gold investment kit to see how you can get started with gold. You can even qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call them now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. Now, trust me, you'll be happy you did. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. I sit back and I think about people analyzing what happened here. How did this landslide happen? I'm going to tell you what happened. Patriotic Americans of every faith, of every race, of every background, of every sex, they were watching what was happening. They said, no, this is America. You don't get to install a Democrat candidate and blow out 14.5 million primary voters and tell us you're standing for democracy. You don't get to open our borders and have literally millions and millions of people coming across and not vet them. So we get terrorists, we get rapists, we get murderers in record numbers. We get Venezuelan gangs we never heard of before. MS-13 is more powerful than ever before. Fentanyl, I mentioned. You don't get to do that. You violated every single immigration law. You don't get to take money from hardworking Americans and take their money and give loan relief on student loans for people who are getting four-year college degrees or advanced graduate degrees and have plumbers and electricians and truck drivers pay for it. America knows right from wrong. America knows where it wants to be. And you don't get to talk down to us. You don't get to tell black guys what to do because they're black. You don't get to tell white people that there's something wrong with them because they don't agree with Kamala Harris on substance. You don't get to attack one ethnic group, one racial group, one economic group after another, and you don't get to call the American people. You don't get to call the American people garbage. What kind of a campaign was this? So the American people said, no, excuse me. This is our country. It's we the people. You don't get to treat us this way. And rather than just voice it at the dinner table, the breakfast table, rather than just voice it in our houses of worship, rather than just whine and groan about it in sports stadiums one to another, you did something about it. More Jews, more blacks, more Hispanics, more women voted Republican this time than ever before. The big cities did not turn out in the normal numbers they normally turn out for the Democrat Party. They said no. Republicans were getting bigger numbers than they ever have in these cities. Not that they were going to win them, but they persuaded enough Americans in these cities to vote for them to stop the Democrats. People need to keep this in mind who are in media and who are serious, not the bomb throwers, not the 99% of the phony journalists on the phony news platforms, but people who are serious and want to be taken seriously. Need to look at this and need to stop throwing in or siding with these people. Because what we've learned here now, listen to me, is the American people are far more united than people think we are. When people go on TV and do this racial crap, or do this gender crap, or do this redistribution crap, people are stepping back and saying, wait a minute, that doesn't put food on my table. Wait a minute. I know Ernie Grabotsky down the street. He's a good guy. Well, excuse me. Just because he's not my race, he's my buddy. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't bad people in this country. There's a lot of them, and we're even importing more. But we're talking about the American people, not the exception. The American people are good people. We're a diverse country in every respect. We're a fantastic country. And our so-called leaders, the ruling class, keep trying to rip us to pieces. And they're doing it on all platforms, news platforms, sports platforms, other entertainment platforms. They're doing it in the movies. They're doing it on documentaries. They're just doing it over and over again. They got public TV. They got public radio, where it is constant. And the American people are saying, enough. I can't stand it anymore. We're not Marxists. We're not jihadists. We're not racists. We, in our homes, in our neighborhoods, in our communities, we actually get along pretty damn well. When we gather in churches and other places of worship, when we gather at sporting stadiums and so forth, when we're in movie theaters, when we're in big groups, we're not at each other's throats. This isn't some kind of banana republic. We treat each other civilly. Civilly. That's who we are. And you explained it through your vote to the Democrat Party, and you explained it through your vote to the American media, and you explained it through your vote that it may be cool to tell people to support this group or that group. It may be cool to constantly rip at the fabric of this nation. Oh, it may be cool to attack the founders and the framers of this country and our fantastic Declaration and Constitution. That is the glue that keeps this diverse society together. Oh, it might be great to push these projects like 1619 and CRT, but they're crap. They're absolute crap. The American people love their country. That's what this election showed. From every single walk of life, the American people love their country, even though the ruling class, even though the media, even though Hollywood does not. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. You can call me Mark. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. You may not have heard this. President Trump won Arizona. He won Nevada. He got 312 electoral college votes. 3.5 months of experts. Do you not imagine the amount of money that was spent on these experts and these polls and all that? Can you imagine? President Trump wins the most Latino county in the United States of America by 16 points after 60-point loss in 2016. This is one of the most brilliant campaigns in American history. Washington Examiner. President Trump won the county in the United States with the highest percentage of Latinos by 16 points after losing it by 60 points in 2016. I thought that comedian with the terrible Puerto Rican jokes was going to cost him everything. I think it did. Cost him the Hollywood big mouths. But that's not everything. Starr County on the Texas-Mexico border, 97.7%. Situated on the Texas-Mexico border, the county voted Democrat in every presidential election since 1892. Usually voting 80 to 90% for Democrats. Previously, the only outliers were Richard Nixon's landslide in 1972 in the 2020 election, when the Democratic share was only in the 50% range. But this week, Trump he flipped the county with 57.7%, nearly 60% of the vote compared to Vice President Kamala Harris. And they kept calling him a racist. Wow. The most Hispanic county in the United States votes almost 60% for Donald Trump. First time a Republican has won it since 1892. Now, that is a big deal. And this reflects Trump's larger trend of gaining support among Latinos, specifically Latino men, just like black men. 25% of the black vote, black men. Why don't they give us the percentage of the black women? I'll bet that was better than anticipated, too. Latinos were largely attracted to Trump because of economic factors. Others said that Trump's macho rhetoric appealed largely to Latino males, while linking Harris to socialism and communism. Here's the thing. Many people in Central and South America have escaped communism and the horrors of communism. They want nothing to do with it, these radical left-wing governments. Ana Valdez, CEO of the Latino Donor Collaborative, told Newsweek that Trump was able to touch on certain conservative sentiments. I've always said this. Why don't we stress our conservative principles? No, we got to hide them. No, what are you talking about? They also felt abandoned by and delusion with and disillusioned with Democrats. I would say this. Democrats in all walks of life, particularly those who have microphones and cameras or movie screens or television screens, aren't you ashamed of yourselves? Do you realize how to touch you are with your audience? Do you realize it? This is why so-called major media in this country, they're dying. They're dying. The networks are losing viewers. The major newspapers are almost all out of business. They have to get these multi-billionaires, these sugar daddies to hold them up. You realize this? So they say podcasting. Look, I'm a podcaster too, but they ignore conservative talk radio because they want to. Do you realize how many people listen to this program and listen to my colleagues in conservative talk radio? How big it is? AM, FM, it's not as strong as it used to be, but when we do these programs, we're also heard on streamlining, on the internet. My program is on podcast. It's on Sirius XM satellite. I mean, I'm on airport radar and sonograms. We're on so many platforms here. Here's the truth. This audience is so big, they don't know how to measure it. It's so big, they literally don't know how to measure it. We don't know how many listeners there are on satellite. We really don't know how many listeners there are on talk radio, given the way they now rate it. We just don't know, but it's massive. And so when I hear people who've worked at the New York Times and now they created their own, newspaper or website, what's that one called? The Free something or other? I don't remember. Oh, Free Press. I like the name, by the way. Pretty good. Spot. Everything's changed. What's that? Podcasting. No, everything's changed. Podcasting, but there's always conservative talk radio. I mean, Rush would be shaking his head right now and say, what the hell? Rush never allowed his program to be on podcasting. Rush didn't podcast. Rush didn't believe in it. But Rush built up his audience on terrestrial radio. And he had a club, basically, where he had the Ditto Cam and he had streaming. He had all those things going on, too. And so it always cracks me up when former Democrats or other people, rhinos who worked for this Republican or that, podcasting now. And the reason they say podcasting now has nothing to do with the great Joe Rogan's massive audience. No. It's because they podcast to 12 people. That's the future. Me, I'm the future. No, actually, you're not the future, and you're not the present, you're not the past. No offense. And by the way, I think podcasting is a big platform for the future, but I embrace it all. It's not podcasting or, it's podcasting. It's AM, FM radio. It's Sirius Satellite, that is satellite radio. We're on YouTube. We have our own app. We have iHeart app. We have partnerships with fantastic companies all across the board in the broadcasting business. I mean, my attitude is use all the platforms. But you know what's interesting, America? And I say this to you because you're so loyal, you're such great listeners, and you have been for decades. Even conservative TV shows, even conservative platforms, other platforms, they don't acknowledge the power of this program. We even have an industry magazine, such as it is, Talkers Magazine. At a minimum, we're the second largest audience in the country. There's simply no question about it. They put us at number 5 because they don't like me. So even our own industry propaganda operations, I'll call them, magazines, and they pretend the Mark Levin show doesn't exist. Colleagues in cable, they pretend the Mark Levin show doesn't exist. But you know what, Mr. Producer, open your microphone for a second. Tell me when you're there. How many requests do we get from all these hosts when they have a book to come on this show?
Tons, a lot.
Do I have a pile of 7 books here right now from authors
I get them all
who want to
the
come
time.
on this radio show? Do
Yep.
I?
Yep.
One after another? Now, how many of those authors with these 7 books even talk about this radio show? How many?
None.
Not one. So I'm thinking of having a new rule here. An eye for an eye. You don't talk about us. Why am I talking about you? What do I give a damn about you for? Seriously, America, think about it. I think most of you, the Levinites, the patriots out there will agree with me, right? It's weird. It's weird. They're dying to come on this radio show, and they're dying to come on my Fox show, and they're dying to come on the Blaze platform. And I'm going, why? And the reason is this. Because of you. The politicians know it. The candidates running for office, they got it. They understand it. But there is a bizarre, I don't know if it's a jealousy, a blind spot. Maybe they don't like the fact that I do what I do the way I do it. I don't know. I don't care, really. So my warning to the radical left corporate media is you're destroying yourself. My warning to sort of newbies in this business with podcasts and maybe in radio and so forth, you're going to destroy yourselves too. Because you're no better than the other side if you're going to pretend that something exists that doesn't exist, or something that doesn't exist does exist. You got to talk straight. You got to be honest with your audience. Your audience needs to embrace you, and you need to embrace your audience. You can't pretend, oh, that audience doesn't exist, 14.5 million people, but mine does. With 300,000. Doesn't fly. I want the independent media to be extraordinarily strong. I want us to defeat many of these corporate platforms. But we're not going to do it if we pretend that certain platforms don't even exist. Conservative talk radio is massive. It's going to always be massive. We got a guy, John Avalon. This moron, he worked at CNN. He used to work for Giuliani. Then he's in No Labels Group. This guy has more personalities than Sybil. So he decides to run for the House of Representatives as a Democrat. I had his opponent on this program, and he lost. And I'm sure he'll blame it on you, we the people. But he's been writing for like 20 years about the demise of talk radio. Rush and I used to talk about this. He would laugh and laugh and laugh. So why do they hate us? Why do they keep attacking us? If we're gonna just pitter away on our own, because we're not.
Mark Levin.
Folks, have you ever thought about what charities and causes you give your hard-earned money to? Pure Talk, my cell phone company, supports veterans. As a veteran-led company, that's their passion project. And that's why Pure Talk has slashed $10 million in veteran debt. That's why they donate tens of thousands of dollars every month to help prevent veteran suicide. That's why they donate $50,000 to Micro Works, providing scholarships to veterans learning the trades after active duty. Now, isn't that a company you can get behind? Time to jump ship from these other three guys. There's a better option. Pure Talk gives you the same great coverage, America's most dependable 5G network, for half the cost. And you'll be supporting a company that is helping our vets. It's a win-win. Dial pound 250. Say keyword Mark Levin. You'll be connected to Pure Talk's U.S. call center. That's right. They invest in American jobs to better serve you. And remember, they're half the price of the big three. Go to puretalk.com/Levin today. That's puretalk.com/LEVIN. Switch to a company that invests in American jobs to better serve you. Again, go to puretalk.com/Levin. You'll get an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. One final thing. I just find this interesting. There's not a podcaster I don't know, and some of them are my good friends, who don't want to be on radio. Have you noticed that too, Rich? They all want a radio show. They all want a radio show. I won't be here forever. What do I have? Another 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, 10 tops? I don't think I'm going to do this another 10 years, but you get the point? I'm not going anywhere unless I choose to go somewhere. The audience, you're not going anywhere unless you choose to go somewhere. But we make this program available on every single technological platform that exists, as I said, every single one. Because I don't pick one over the other. I want them all to be vibrant. I want them all to survive. I want them all to destroy, or at least take a big chunk out of, the corrupt corporate platforms that are out there and have brought this country to the brink. I'll give you an example quickly. You'll notice Comcast isn't going to fire Joy Reid, even though she's a bigot. She can keep saying everything she says. You notice that? You notice Rachel Maddow will continue to get a platform on MSLSD. She's just too popular. Not really. But she can do whatever she wants. Lawrence O'Donnell, one of the dumbest blockheads you'll ever see. They'll keep him. Doesn't matter. Look at CNN. Look at the clown show there. It won't matter. Caitlin, what's her ass? I don't even remember her name. Collins. Yeah, there's a real number there. They'll keep her going. The people who pushed Kamala Harris, the people who kept pushing the lies about Hitler and all the rest, the people who kept covering up the border. Oh, yeah. The people who lied to us about Joe Biden, not one of them is going to be fired on substantive grounds. Not one of them. Or at least quietly removed. They're going to keep showing up and doing exactly the same thing. There are no consequences. There's no accountability. That's not free press. I'm talking about a corporation that owns these platforms. They can do whatever they want. It has nothing to do with the free press or non-free press. These are corporate platforms. They're free to manage their corporate platforms as they wish. But not a single one of them is going to be held to account for what they did this last election. How they got we got a memo. I'm not going to get into great detail about this, but it's not top secret. We got a memo saying, be careful how you speak about the election. We don't want, They actually tried to quote, Jefferson and Adams or something. I had a laugh, but that's okay. We don't want to happen what's happened. And what's amazing to me is we get this memo in the midst of these vicious, vile, poisonous attacks on Donald Trump, on his supporters. Just horrendous. About dictatorship, and he's going to use the military to kill people who disagree with him, and he's going to round up journalists. And this is coming from Kamala Harris and the Democrats. This is coming from the Biden regime. And we get a memo. Wasn't that amazing, Mr. Producer? But the good news is I never see these memos. Why? Because they send them to, the regional manager, the guy in charge of the... Okay, I don't have one on my syndicated show. And I know that most of these are aimed at me, these memos and so forth. But it's really quite remarkable. But that's why alternatives exist. Alternatives will always exist. The technology will get even more advanced. There'll be more platforms we can't even think about today. Like 40 years ago, who knew about texting or something like that? Podcasting, where anybody in boxer shorts, a 3-day growth on their face, and I'm talking about women, can sit in the basement and do a radio show or a podcast show. But always the cream rises to the top, and that's why we're here with you. I'll be right back. Folks, have you ever thought about what charities and causes you give your hard-earned money to? Pure Talk, my cell phone company, supports veterans. As a veteran-led company, that's their passion project. And that's why Pure Talk has slashed $10 million in veteran debt. That's why they donate tens of thousands of dollars every month to help prevent veteran suicide. That's why they donate $50,000 to MicroWorks, providing scholarships to veterans learning the trades after active duty. Now, isn't that a company you can get behind? Time to jump ship from these other three guys. There's a better option. Pure Talk gives you the same great coverage, America's most dependable 5G network, for half the cost. And you'll be supporting a company that is helping our vets. It's a win-win. Dial pound 250. Say keyword Mark Levin. You'll be connected to Pure Talk's U.S. call center. That's right. They invest in American jobs to better serve you. And remember, they're half the price of the big three. Go to puretalk.com/Levin today. That's puretalk.com/LEVIN. Switch to a company that invests in American jobs to better serve you. Again, go to puretalk.com/Levin. You'll get an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
The Mark Levin Show, live and national at 877-381-3811.
3811, baby. Joe Biden at the White House today. That's nice for a change. You're not gonna believe this. No, I'm not playing his whole damn speech. I didn't play any of hers either. If I listen and I say, oh no, I'm not gonna waste your time. But listen to this. Cut 2, go.
The struggle for the soul of America, since our very founding, has always been an ongoing debate and still vital today. I know for some people, it's a time for victory, to state the obvious. For others, it's a time of loss. Campaigns are contests of competing visions. The country chooses one or the other.
Wow.
We accept the choice the country made. I've said many times, you can't love your country only when you win. You can't love your neighbor Only when you agree.
Now, as he's reading this off the teleprompter, and I got to give him credit, he's actually reading it quite well. Must have practiced for at least half a day. That said, this is the guy that's calling you garbage. This is the guy out there with the worst invective, who's done more to destroy the unity in this country, really, than anyone I can think of other than the media. I'm not kidding. Go ahead.
Something I hope we can do, no matter who you voted for, is see each other not as adversaries.
Excuse me, you jerk. You've been calling him a fascist. You've been calling him a dictator. You talked about how the democracy won't survive. You spent $1 billion on this crap, you and your sidekick, and then you're lecturing us? He does this. He's like schizophrenic. 3 months ago, after they almost assassinated Donald Trump the first time, he goes into this thing, and then he's calling them names. Then there's another attempt. Oh, we have a break. Then he's calling them names. The media do exactly the same thing. Harris do exactly the same thing. And they keep lecturing us like they're Abraham Lincoln, trying to bring the country together. They're not Abraham Lincoln. This isn't the second Lincoln inaugural address. It's crap. It's just disingenuous. It's cynical. It's one thing if you're consistent this way, and if you actually ran a campaign this way, or if she actually ran a campaign this way, but you didn't. The whole last 3 weeks of her campaign was to try and scare the hell out of everybody. But it didn't work. And once again, all those things she said would happen are not going to happen. The military's not going to kill anybody at the direction of the president. Never was. Journalists aren't going to be rounded up. That's Obama. Obama has the worst record when it comes to journalists of any modern president. I've written about that and I've talked about it. But hey, that for another day. All these things they said he was going to do, he's not going to do. They hate him because he's going to do things that will give power back to we the people and try and take it from the centralized ruling class and their ubiquitous bureaucracy and their handful of masterminds. That's why they're going to try and take him down and defeat him. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, have you ever thought about what charities and causes you give your hard-earned money to? Pure Talk, my cell phone company, supports veterans. As a veteran-led company, that's their passion project. And that's why Pure Talk has slashed $10 million in veteran debt. That's why they donate tens of thousands of dollars every month to help prevent veteran suicide. That's why they donate $50,000 to Micro Works, providing scholarships to veterans learning the trades after active duty. Now, isn't that a company you can get behind? Time to jump ship from these other three guys. There's a better option. Pure Talk gives you the same great coverage, America's most dependable 5G network, for half the cost. And you'll be supporting a company that is helping our vets. It's a win-win. Dial pound 250. Say keyword Mark Levin. You'll be connected to Pure Talk's U.S. call center. That's right. They invest in American jobs to better serve you. And remember, they're half the price of the big three. Go to puretalk.com/Levin today. That's puretalk.com/Levin. Switch to a company that invests in American jobs to better serve you. Again, go to puretalk.com/Levin. You'll get an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. I'm glad the Democrat Party is ready to kumbaya. I'm glad they're ready to give peace a chance. Let's start with Rachel Madcow on MSLSD yesterday. Cut 5, go.
The free press needs to give the people of this country assurances that they will not become state TV, that they will stand and fight together. They will put aside rivalries and petty professional differences. They will stand and fight together as the free press, as the fourth estate, as an institution that is a pillar of our democracy, as these guys on the other side.
Shut up, you idiot. We don't need lectures from you when you're throwing verbal bombs left and right at Trump and his supporters and going on trying to scare the hell out of your audience. Your audience ought to abandon you. You don't respect them. Your audience is smarter than you. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. And then there's John Dickerson of CBS News. This guy is a hemorrhotic. Mark, what's a hemorrhotic? It's a human hemorrhoid. He's a hemorrhotic. I made it up. Live with it. He's a hemorrhotic. I didn't say he's a bleeding hemorrhotic. I said he's a hemorrhotic. Well, actually, he is a bleeding leftist. So he is a bleeding hemorrhotic. And when he's on with Stephen Colbert was very sad last night. You know, remember him? He's got those Mr. Spock ears, Mr. Producer. I thought he was going to cry on TV. When he's on TV, we all cry. It's so depressing. But nonetheless, here's Stephen Colbert. I know it's Colbert. By the way, his brother's a lawyer. My wife knows him, says he's a great guy, and it's pronounced Colbert. But for Stephen Colbert, it's Stephen Colbert. But for us, it's Stephen Colbert. Cut 6, go.
What does Donald Trump mean to American public institutions?
First of all, isn't this fascinating? One phony comedian talking to a phony journalist. What does Donald Trump mean to American public institutions? A little late for that, don't you think, Putz? Go ahead.
Buckle up.
Buckle up, yeah.
I mean, he's, which includes the press. He has followed through on a lot of the things he said, and so you've got to assume that the way he behaved and the things he said during the campaign about institutions
that's enough of this jackass. Do you think it sounds like, folks, that they care about what you just did on Election Day, how you voted? Does it sound like it? Does this sound like a free press, a really objective group of professionals, or a bunch of hitmen with low IQs who are Democrats? And that's the problem. The same Democrat Party rot that has taken over our schools, the same Democrat Party rot that's taken over our borders, or lack thereof, the same Democrat Party rot is in the media. And so you're basically here, and they're not just Democrats. You know, there's a lot of good Democrats out there. These are the radical bomb throwers. That's who they are. Dickerson, Stephen Colbert. And then there's AOC on Instagram. She's never been good at anything. She's done Congress, mixing drinks, you know, whatever. Cut 7, go.
And we find ourselves, I believe, in a time where there are, let's say, peers in history of mass movements of people that mobilize to protect one another in times of fascism and authoritarianism. And this is the era that we are poised to enter.
Oh, shut up, you moron. Is she Aristotle? Cicero? What is this? AOC. She say, what is she, from the Bronx, Mr. Producer? Is that where she's from? Didn't she grow up like in Westchester? Yorktown Heights, which is a really fancy part of Westchester. So she grows up in Yorktown Heights, but she's down for the battle. Or is it up for the battle? I don't know. But she's ready to battle. She's just unbelievable. I say this, Democrats, you follow her right into massive, endless defeat. You listen to her, Tlaib, Omar, you listen to Bernie Sanders, you listen to all these Marxist jihadist kooks. You keep it up. You keep it up. We'll get a majority of the black vote, a majority of the Latino vote, a majority of the women vote, a majority of the Jewish vote, a majority of the American vote, and your party, it'll diminish. Wouldn't that be fantastic? What would the media do without the Democrat Party, though? The Democrat Party stocks the media with its journalists, quote unquote. That's what they do. But there's more from AOC and Instagram. I think they should change it to Insta-Stupid for her, don't you, Mr. Producer? Here's AOC with Insta-Stupid on Instagram. Cut 8, go.
What is going to be most important in this time?
Please tell us.
Is rejecting sectarianism.
Yes.
And understanding.
Hold on, stop it. It's sectarianism. That's the great evil, Mr. Producer. Sectarianism. Yes. What are we going to do? We have to unite ourselves. That's sectarianism is the great. So here they are dividing us like good sectarianists, if you will, into ethnic groups, into racial groups, into religious groups, into genitalia groups and not genitalia groups. That just keep putting us in groups and, pronouns. It's just endless. And then she says, the greatest threat we face is sectarianism. Hey, look, schmuck, you're the one promoting it. You're the one, and your Marxist, jihadist ideology are the ones promoting it. Go ahead.
We have to be united as a people. Our main project is to unite the working class in this country.
Oh, I love it. They're going to unite the working. Isn't this the Marxist jihadist from Westchester, representing part of the Bronx, who chased Amazon out of her district, Mr. Medusa? What does she mean working class in this country? She doesn't care about working class in this country. But she goes on. She stands for the working class against what? The fascists, of course. Go ahead.
Agenda, period. We have had an enormous setback in this election because the fascist won a lot of working class support.
Now, keep something in mind. She's not a half-wit. She's a no-wit. This moron, this imbecile, will continue to be on all the cable shows on MSLSD and CNN. She'll continue to be on some of these Sunday shows. They'll keep dragging, Bernie Sanders out of the cemetery and drag him in. They'll keep bringing him on. They'll bring on the most extremist, hateful, moronic, low IQ radicals in the Democrat Party. They're just going to keep doing it. Why? Because those are the people who fill so-called journalist positions, host positions, and other positions on MSNBC, on CNN, and on the Sunday shows on the networks. This is who they are. Because they've written off, quote-unquote, the working class, quote-unquote, the middle class a long time ago. What kind of serious report did they do about the border? Nothing. Food prices. Oh, Bidenomics is worth. They blew off the middle class. People are suffering. It's like they never happened. We have homelessness in this country. Have you ever seen a line of homeless people? They don't even show it. During the Reagan administration, they go to some of the greatest malls in the country. There it is, Black Friday, where they have all these sales. People are lined up. They look at this, all the homeless. But anyway, the media. They're going to continue with the fascism. They're going to continue with the anti-democraticism. They're going to keep it up, keep pounding away on the racism and the bigotry. Why? Because they haven't fired anybody. They're not holding anybody accountable. Joy Reid will still be out there. Oh, yeah, pounding away. And she's not alone. She's just the leader of the bigots. And they'll keep at it. And then you'll have these white liberal Democrats keep wringing their hands about blacks and Latinos who didn't vote the right way. They didn't vote Democrat. What the hell's wrong with these people, say the Scarborough twins? The hell's wrong with these people? Why aren't these minorities doing what they're supposed to do? Why aren't they lining up and doing what we tell them to do? How much more propaganda do we have to spew out there to get them to do what we tell them to do? Ladies and gentlemen, this is such a fantastic election. It shows what? That Americans are thinking people. It doesn't matter their physical features. It doesn't matter. We are thinking people. But they have to treat us like thinking people, or we need to keep defeating them. Bigger and better every single damn time.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. When you think about it, if the Democrats had been listening to me behind this microphone, they wouldn't be in the problems they have now. I've said for over a year, a long time, Joe Biden has dementia. He was in the 5th stage, with 7 stages. Now he's kind of heading into the 6th stage. I said they should have used the 25th Amendment, but they didn't. I said the media, the cabinet, and the vice president are all lying to cover up for Joe Biden. But it didn't matter. They kept lying. Then when they broomed him out, I said they're going to regret this because it is an act of totalitarianism to broom 14.5 million primary voters. I said they should have an open convention on the convention floor right there in Chicago. But they didn't. They had what they called a virtual convention. We've never had one before because, most open societies don't do such things. And so they selected her before the convention. So the convention was really sort of a Hollywood show that was completely out of touch with the American people. Hollywood and obsession over abortion on demand right up to the birth canal. Oh, yeah. Turns out the American people don't support it. Isn't it amazing? They're not talking about abortion today. I mean, I remember these libs on Fox and elsewhere saying abortion, Trump's going to regret this. The Supreme Court, Dobbs, they're going to regret this, That's the number one issue. It turns out 11% of those who voted, that was their number one issue. Number one issue was the economy. Number two, immigration. And they blew up the economy and they blew up the border, the Democrats. So 11% said it was abortion. So they were wrong. Dead wrong. And I think in part, as we kept educating as many people who could listen to this program or watch me on TV, that when it comes to abortion, it's them, the Democrat Party. They're the ones who are extremists, not we conservatives and Republicans. They're the extremists. They're crazy. All the bubbles burst. Then I said, she's an idiot. She's not going to win. She can't win. She must not win, for God's sakes. And we went on, and then I told you, as you well know, don't listen to the polls. Stop listening to these pollsters. Stop watching the polls. Stop listening to those who are talking about the polls endlessly to kill time. Don't. It'll drive you nuts. Then the Saturday before the vote, what did I say this last Saturday on Fox? This Iowa poll comes out, I said, that is intending to dispirit you. It's a head fake. Ignore that damn poll. It can't be true. Then on Election Day, the votes are coming in. There's Pennsylvania and Georgia and North Carolina. I could tell Pennsylvania, even before Georgia and North Carolina, was going to go Trump. Why? Because they said they need 700,000 net votes coming out of Philadelphia, the networks, for the Democrat. It was never going to happen. I'm from there. It was never going to happen. She was never going to get more than 500, 550,000. She didn't even get that. So we knew Pennsylvania early on. I did. I was so confident I called the president. I said, congratulations. He said, already? I said, yes, you won Pennsylvania. Here's why. You won Georgia because they're not getting enough votes out of Fulton County and Atlanta. It's over. As far as North Carolina, Charlotte. They're not getting enough votes out of Charlotte. If they don't get enough votes out of their biggest cities, Charlotte and Raleigh and so forth, they can't win. It's that simple. The suburbs surrounding these big cities like Philadelphia, where I'm from, they weren't getting the numbers. Why? They were losing Jewish votes. They were losing blue-collar votes. And, of course, in the cities, they were losing Jewish and blue-collar votes, and they were losing black male votes. They couldn't win when the numbers started coming in. It was obvious. Now, for the TV radical left-wing Democrats who are not truck drivers, who are not plumbers, who are not electricians, who are not assembly line workers, they're not factory workers, they sit there, fat slobs, most of them, based on their propaganda that they learned from their Marxist, jihadist professors in college, and they telling the whole country what to think. They're telling the whole country who we are. There's no connection. There's a complete disconnect. Complete. Between the Democrat Party operatives, so-called journalists in the American media, and their own party. And their own party. And it's not going to change. It's not going to change until these corporations, Paramount with CBS, Comcast with NBC and MSNBC, Disney with ABC, Time Warner with CNN, until these corporate boards take control and say, you know what, we're not doing news. We're doing propaganda. We're mouthpieces for the Democrat Party. We're more like Pravda and Al Jazeera. This isn't free press. We need to have meetings. We need to fix this. But they're not going to do it in these boardrooms. Of course, these boardroom directors agree with their media, which has no connection to the average person in this country. None. And by the way, James Carville, you're exactly the crackpot that we always thought you were. Loser, buffoon. He's on there. They can't promote this clown enough. Enough? But they're never going to pull them. They're never going to give these guys the hook. They're not going to give the hosts the hook. They're not going to give these pollsters a hook. They're not going to give the Carvels the hook. They're not going to give any of them the hook. They'll be back next election cycle spewing their stupidity and propaganda because they don't care. These big corporations don't even care if their news entities make any money. They're just a little speck in their corporate, oligopoly. Look that one up. Oligopoly. Disney. Disney can't even give you a fair price on a ticket to go into one of their theme parks. You got to take out a second mortgage on your home just to go there for 5 days. People come back and say, wait a minute, I just spent $12,000. What the hell did I get out of it? A 25-pound pretzel? A fake turkey leg that looks like it came from a dinosaur? What did I get out of here? We get 2 rides a day. We got to stand in line all damn day. Yeah, that's not Walt Disney's dream. That's Robert Iger's dream, which is why they're hurting. Look at Comcast, cable company. Look what they push out. MSNBC and NBC. Is Comcast proud? How come nobody challenges them at their annual meetings of investors, stockholders? You can do it. Why don't they say, what are you doing with Joy Reid here? She's the biggest racist, bigot, homophobe, anti-Semite. That's her whole history. That's her past. That's who she is. What are you putting her on for? You can't find any better than her? Of course they can. But they don't want to. Until the people who have invested in these companies, Paramount, Disney, Time Warner, and Comcast, until the investors, small and large, rise up and say, that's enough. That's enough. You're destroying the country. These people don't represent anybody but their own little hate. We want news. What about Fox? You don't see this at Fox. In fact, they have a lot of liberals at Fox just to show how balanced they are. But you don't have the same thing. You just don't. We in conservative talk radio, it's called conservative talk radio. That's who we are. That's what we do. Principles. Founding principles, founding beliefs, the values, Judeo-Christian values. That's who we are. Different individuals, different personalities, different substance, different ways of presenting it, but that's who we are. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
I want you to look at this. Eric Swalwell on MSNBC today. Is there anybody more irrelevant than that wife cheating, spy giving jackass? Trump will seek political retribution on me, says Swalwell. Not really. You're irrelevant. Dickerson, Trump no longer has the constraints we associate with the presidency. Maddow, Trump administration will start picking off journalists, news organizations, and turn them into the American version of Russian TV. They're still at it. Van Jones claims only Republicans called Trump Hitler, Nazi, fascist. I don't know what that means, Mr. Producer. Can you play cut 11 for us, please?
I think it's most important to remember is the people who said that he was a Hitler lover weren't Democrats. They were Republicans.
All right, so here we go. So they'll pick out a J.D. Vance or say, no, ladies and gentlemen. No. You're all screwed up again. Democrats never called him Hitler, a Nazi or a fascist. No, all those neo-Nazis at Madison Square Garden, they never said that. Little Timmy Tampon Walls? No, he never said Nazis. No, you don't. It's a figment of your imagination. The conga line of freaks, frauds, and phonies over there on MSLSD, no, they never used any of these words. I got them in my book. They were using these words 4 years ago against Trump. Good job, Van Jones. Wasn't he crying on election night, Mr. Producer? He was very upset. So they're still at it. There's Stephanie Rule, who's a complete louse. Americans have effed up around and are now about to find out. So these are the media. They're not the media for the American people. They're not the media for the truth or to try to seek objectivity. They don't care. They're the media for the hardcore Marxist, jihadist left in the Democrat Party. And they're not going away because their corporate masters want them, obviously. Disney wants them. Paramount wants them. Comcast wants them. Time Warner wants them. They love these people. And until investors in these companies, stockholders, even if you have 10 shares of stock, start showing up at these annual meetings and making noise, it's going to keep up. Angelo Carusone, Media Matters, a Soros front group. A Soros front group that should not have a Tax-exempt status. I think even one of the board members, or at least one of them, used to. The company I work for is with these people. I could be wrong, but that's my recollection. Trump voters don't believe in democracy as a principle. They're still at it. They're still at it. It's unbelievable. Now, Kamala Harris delivered Hillary Clinton's 2016 concession speech, according to TikTok. And we all know TikTok's right. TikTok, TikTok. The communist Chinese are coming for us. TikTok. Let's listen to this comparison. This is how big a fraud this Kamala Harris is and what. I mean, it's serious. Just listen. Cut 14, go.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for.
This is not the outcome we wanted or we worked so hard for.
Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition.
Last night, I congratulated Donald Trump and offered to work with him on behalf of our country.
Over the 107 days of this campaign, we have been intentional about building community and building coalitions, bringing people together from every walk of life and background.
We've spent a year and a half bringing together millions of people from every corner of our country to say with one voice that we believe that the American dream is big enough for everyone.
To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed, but please know it's going to be okay.
To the young people in particular, I hope you will hear this.
On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win.
This loss hurts, but please never stop believing that fighting for what's right is worth it.
Pretty close, don't you think, Mr. Producer? Yes. And now we have the late night hosts. They used to call them comedians. Now they call them a joke. Every damn one of them. Stupid, and stupid. The Three Stooges, there's actually four of them when, John Leibowitz decides to do his show on Comedy Central. Cut 15, go.
How are you doing? If you watch the show regularly, I'm guessing you're not doing great. Yeah, me neither. Well, it happened again. After a bizarre and vicious campaign fueled by a desperate need not to go to jail, Donald Trump has won the 2024 election. It's almost like you rehearsed that.
Well, guys, last night, America decided to get back with the crazy ex and elect Donald Trump as the 47th president of the United States.
I'm still trying to figure out what happened. It was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him, and guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet.
No, we don't, fat boy. We don't realize it yet. Boy, talk about a screwy threesome there, Mr. Producer. What a bunch of weirdos. Whatever happened to late night comedy? My wife and I will turn on like the old Johnny Carson's. He was so good. He was nothing like this. These people, they take something that was created by people before them. Steve Allen, Parr, Carson, these other guys, and they destroy it. Because that's what radical leftists do. Especially these punks. So Jackie Heinrich of Fox is a real reporter. And so she asks the mouthpiece, the idiot for the idiot in the White House, Jean-Pierre, what is this stuff, What is this stuff you talk, you preach that there's going to be hate, there's going to be dictatorships, and now you say, let's all put our hands out and we'll work together. What is that all about? Cut 16, go.
This administration message to millions of Americans that they're going to wake up the day after the election if Trump won and have their rights stripped away, that democracy would crumble, and the president said today we're going to be okay. So how do you square that?
I can square that. I'm going to square that in a way that hopefully makes sense, because I've been answering this question multiple times. The American people made the decision. There was an election 2 nights ago.
Okay, hello. She's not asking who made the decision. She said, you folks have been talking about the end of democracy and fascism and all the rest, and now you're saying we should all come together. How do you square that? She gets angry. Go ahead.
A free and fair election, and we respect the election process.
By the way,
do.
as I'm thinking about it, I want somebody to explain something to me, and I'm quite serious about this. Somebody brought it up to me today, my wife, as I was at the dentist. Oh, yes, I do go from time to time. And she said something I've been thinking about. How is it that 15 to 16 million less people voted in 2020 than in 2024, Mr. Producer? How is that possible? You've been thinking it? Hasn't everybody out there been thinking that? How is it that Joe Biden got like 81 million votes and she gets like 65 million votes? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, does it? This was a heated election, more money spent than ever before. Ground games, organizations, everybody's going at it. Voting records. But wait a minute. How the hell were there 15 or 16 more million voters 4 years ago than last Tuesday in early voting? What's that? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Donald Trump was more right than people are giving him credit for. 15 to 16 million vote differential, one election cycle to the next. No. Something's not right there. But why cry over spilled ballots, Mr. Producer? And I want to salute Whatley and Lara Trump, because they were there with the lawyers. You know, they had like 1,000 lawyers set up everywhere throughout the country, and the Susan Wiles and others. I mean, they were ready, and they were there, and they fought. But more than anything else, you can have the greatest system in the world. You don't have the voters, but you did it. We did it. I'll be right back.
Yes, it's true that Mark Levin is the fastest growing radio show in America. The Mark Levin Show is on at 877-381-3811.
Seriously, folks, I want you to follow this with me. The Democrat votes in the last several presidential elections. Now, just stick with me. In 2004, John Kerry got 59 million votes. In 2008, Barack Milhouse Benito Obama got 69 million votes. In 2012, second race by Obama, got 66 million votes. 2016, Hillary Clinton got 66 million votes. 66 million. Now in 2024, Kamala Harris got 67 million votes. Now in 2020, Joe Biden got 81 million votes. He got 15 million more votes than Hillary Clinton, 15 million more votes than Barack Milhouse Benito Obama, 14 million more votes than Kamala Harris this last time around. How is it possible that Joe Biden got 15 million more votes? It's not. In the most secure election in American history. It's just not possible. Is it, ladies and gentlemen? No, I don't think it is. One day when we have a real media, rather than media suppression going on around here, somebody will figure it out when they have the right technology, the right mathematical skills, absolute access to all the information. Someday somebody's going to write about this. Could be 50 years, 100 years from now. Most of us will be gone. But again, 2004, John Kerry got 59 million. Barack Obama in 2008 got 69 million. Barack Obama in 2012 got 66 million. Hillary Clinton in 2016 got 66 million. And then Joe Biden gets 81 million. Kamala Harris, the other day, 67 million. So the average amount's about 66, 67, 68 million. Guy gets 81 million. Everybody's scratching their head who's even paying attention to this. Everybody, except the media. Ooh, that's right. And I think Trump got an enormous, like over 70 million votes. Remember that, Mr. Producer? Matter of fact, Trump got almost 75 million votes. Swamped everybody anytime in history. But there comes Biden with 81 million votes. Yeah, I'm not buying it. You know, I was not one of these guys, you know, you never know, and I didn't spread that. I'm looking at these numbers. These numbers don't add up. They just don't add up. What are you saying? What do you mean, what am I saying? I'm speaking English, aren't I? And by the way, that's more than Kamala Harris can do. I'm actually completing my thoughts and my sentences. That's more than Joe Biden can do. So Joe Biden, with dementia, gets 81 million votes. It's just not possible. Mr. Call Screener, Christian, our friend Christian, I want you to open a line. If there's anybody out there, especially a Democrat or a journalist, same thing, I want you to call us and tell us, how is it possible that Obama got 69 million, Obama got 66 million, Clinton got 66 million, Kamala Harris got 67 million, and Joe Biden got 81 million, and Donald Trump almost 75 million? Say again, brother? Yeah, let's open a line. Somebody explain this to us. I need an explainment because I don't buy it. I'm not picking at a scab. I just don't buy it. Now, our friend Joe Scarborough, he was shocked at the price of butter. And like most of the people in the media, on cable, CNN, MSLSD, at the New York Slimes. By the way, the people at the Washington Compost, did you see they're resigning because the paper wouldn't endorse Harris? I would suggest you all design mass resignations. I think that would be really cool. Show the system. Show the man. Show the man. Show Bezos. Resign. Give it up. Leave your cubicles. That's right. Leave your cubicles. Leave your adulterous affairs. Just get out of there. Resign. Then you can walk the streets like a homeless person. Maybe wear a raincoat. You never know. But Joe Scarborough, shocked at the price of butter. Now, when I could walk, and I want to thank my man Larry out there. Larry, my PT guy, he's the best of the best. He's going to make sure I can walk again. I can't run. I never could run. But he's going to make sure I can walk again. That's all. I want to be able to walk to the McDonald's. I want to be able to walk to the diner. I want to be able to walk where I want to go. Just kidding, honey. Here's Joe Scarborough on the Morning Schmo. Cut 18, go.
Actually, everything we're hearing after the election is...
I'm just saying, the $7.
What's that?
The $7.
What's that? Butter is $7?
Yeah.
What?
Some
Is
places.
it framed in gold?
Yeah, what kind of butter?
Depends
Anyway,
on where you go.
He thought it was $3. I think I said 3 weeks ago it was $7, didn't I, Mr. Producer? Eggs are $7. If you actually go into a store before you talk about what a great economy we have, Joe, if you actually go down the aisles, actually, if you buy food for your family from time to time or yourself, you'll see. Wow, butter's $7? When did that happen? What do you mean, when did it happen, genius? Eggs are $7? Yeah, if you can get them at $7. Oh, wow. Hey, have you gone to get any fast food lately? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm not putting down McDonald's. I like McDonald's. But you get a Big Mac, medium fries, a large soda, maybe an apple pie. You're into like $14, $15, Mr. Producer. And depending on taxes and on, you go through the drive-thru, you got little Sally, you got little Jose, little Muhammad, little Frank. They're all in the car. Rainbow Coalition going on there. You got a whole thing. They all want to eat. It's an amazing thing. Kids want to eat. So you get them a Happy Meal. Most of the time they're not happy. But a Happy Meal with some little trinket in it. And they want an ice cream. You know, McDonald's is known for that sort of a Dairy Queen ice cream. I hear it's really good, but I'm lactose intolerant, you know. Sorry, Wisconsin, just the way it is. So anyway, you're walking out of there, you go, what the hell just happened? I just paid $60 for fast food. Worth every penny. That's price gouging. No, it's not. It's Democrat Party gouging. It's inflation. It's your spending. In Washington, D.C., you did this to the economy, and that's why you lost the election. People aren't stupid. People know there wasn't price gouging when Trump was president. It's so ridiculous. You have Denny's closing all over the place. I like Denny's. They don't have one near me, and now they don't have anyone, maybe even my state. So they're closing. Did you see Fridays are closing all over the place, Mr. Producer? Friday. So all these restaurants are closing because of the expensive food. They can't make a buck. And she says, we're price gouging. Thank God she didn't win. They'd all be closing down. I've told you before. I even wrote about it in Liberty and Tyranny. If we rely on the government for food, we're going to starve to death. Just let the economy... Oh, let's hear. Who is it? XM Satellite Zach in Phoenix, Arizona. Zach, how are you, my friend? I like that name, Zach, by the way.
Hey,
Go right ahead.
Hey, thanks, Mark. How you doing? I'm doing well.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
So I wanted to call you. I'm one of the 81 million, okay? And I wanted to talk to you about that.
So you know about all the others, the one short of 81 million. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, of course, and so, as a former Democrat and somebody from New York who moved to Arizona with my fiance and my family who got us out of there after realizing what was happening, and it took me listening to folks like yourself. And
I'm already confused, but go ahead.
Okay, so the reason why I think it's at 81 million
yes, sir.
is because...
Wait a minute, you're telling me that you've come to the bright side from the dark side. Is that what you just said?
Absolutely.
Attaboy, Zach. I knew I liked you.
My friend. Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. So, so what I came to the conclusion of, right? We know about the corruption in the Democratic Party. We know all about this. I took the red pill. I listened to Dinesh. I listened to Elon. I listened to all of our great friends, who I'm proud to call great friends now. And what I learned was that I don't know if it's the entire Democratic Party that's corrupt or if it's just the Bidens and the Obamas. I have no idea. But what I knew is when it came down to voting, that I could not possibly check a box for people where and this is when and this is where I get to when I talk about what I do for work and when I hire people is I will say this: I will hire the most inexperienced person if they are fundamentally responsible and agree with my ideals. 10 out of 10 times, I will teach you how to count. I don't care about that, but I cannot teach you how to think. And I saw myself completely alienated by that party, and I left.
Good for you, man. And you know what? It turns out a lot of people left this election. If they haven't left permanently, they left for this vote. And the other thing is, most people don't like being put down. Vote for me, black men. Otherwise, excuse me? Vote for me. That's right, you garbage people. Excuse me? Vote for me, you neo-Nazis. The hell are you talking about? Vote for... That's not exactly the way to get people to vote for you, is it, Zach?
Mark, you know what did it for me is when after I watched that Madison Square Garden gathering, and I call it a gathering because these were people who just wanted life to get better.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with politics. Donald Trump is not a politician. He never has been. He never will be. Okay? It's not about that. And that's my biggest thing. Took me way too long to realize, which upsets me. And I think you can hear it in my voice.
Yeah, but you know what? You're here. Some people never arrive. You're here. That's what matters. Zach, you're a good man. Don't be a stranger. Really, really, really good call. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Stephen A. Smith was on The View today. Pretty good. His analysis was very good. I agree with about 80% of it. But I noticed the Yentas on that show, they were politely, respectfully listening to him. Now imagine if I go on that show. First of all, it wouldn't happen. They wouldn't have me. But they'd be shooting spitballs at me left and right. But I got to thinking, can you imagine a show with 5 guys? Stephen A. Smith, maybe me, a couple others. I think that'd be a smashing hit, don't you, Mr. Producer? You say do it. I'm just saying. I think it would be an absolute killer if some network said, you know what, we're going to syndicate a show. We're going to have Stephen A. We're going to have Mark Levin. We're going to have a couple other guys on there. They can pick whoever they want. I think we would kill. Kill. And, particularly if we all get along. I think we could laugh. We could have fun. But we'd have disagreements. We've had some agreement. I think it would be killer. All right. Let's go to WMAL, Matthew, Arlington, Virginia. Go right ahead, please.
Thank you, Mark. I work at Morton Blackwell's Leadership Institute training.
I love Morton and the Leadership Institute. Go right ahead.
But I'm also the chairman of the Arlington, Virginia Republican Committee in the depths of the swamp.
Wow, that's got to be painful.
I actually love it, and I have some great news for you and your listeners. There was a 110,000 vote swing across Loudoun, Prince William, Fairfax, Arlington.
I want the
and
nation to understand this is Northern Virginia, the tail that wags the dog of Virginia typically and delivers it to the Democrats. And you're saying there was a very significant movement from Democrat to Republican number of votes, correct?
Yes, sir. 110,000 votes. It is significant. But earlier this evening, Mark, I was harassed for wearing my 2016 MAGA hat by one of the many joyless leftists who live here in Arlington. And I just want to tell you and your listeners, thank you. There are a lot of Republicans with courage up here. We are fighting back, and we are going to keep Virginia moving in the right direction. We're going to elect a Republican governor next year, and we're going to elect a Republican president in 2028.
All right, man. You're the chairman. It's a very tough county. You're obviously doing a great job. Keep up the good work. God bless you, Matthew. Let us continue, shall we? Yes, let's go to George, Northern Illinois. XM Satellite. George, how are you, sir? A truck driver. Georgie, I love truck drivers. I guess George left. I hope there wasn't I hope he's still on the road, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Let us continue. Kirk Laughlin, Nevada, on the Mark Levin app. Nevada, you delivered. We need that Senate seat, baby. Go ahead. All right, our lines aren't working. Something's not right. Our lines are dead. It's got to be the communist Chinese, always is, or the Islamo-Nazi regime in Tehran. Could be the inbred in North Korea. Could be Putin and his assassins cutting off our lines. Or it could be we have a screwy phone system, Mr. Producer. Ladies and gentlemen, we salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine, our brothers and sisters in Israel. We have your backs, even though Biden and Harris don't. And you, the American people. I'm so proud of you. We have such a wonderful family here of patriots. Let's keep it up. We've got a long way to go. And I'll see you tomorrow. Smile! I'll see you tomorrow.